y'all are doing okay. I feel like I haven't filmed in like a week. Maybe that's true. It's been rough. It's been rough around here. But today I'm going to tell you about now this article is a little bit older and I had a few articles pulled up. I cannot see anything that tells me if this person has been convicted yet or not. But this is about a girl, a woman that I know personally, that I have known for many years, that is allegedly a murderer. And the article I pulled up is from the Los Angeles Times, and it is titled, "He listed his luxury Marina Del Rey home for sale, then police say he was murdered." Now, the individual, I'll tell you a little backstory about how I know one of the three accused, and then I'll read the article. But first, let's do some light housekeeping. If you're new here, welcome to my nonsense. If you're old here, welcome back, OGs. If you're new here, please consider hitting subscribe. If you're old here, double check to make sure that you are subscribed. Hit the like if you like. Leave a comment. It can be anything related to the video. It can be a few emojis. It can be a hello. Any comment just helps out the algorithm. It helps to push the video out so more people see it. Hit the notification bell. And as always, I will link my tip jar in the description box. No pressure whatsoever, but anything you contribute to help the channel is much appreciated. Okay. Siobhan is listed here, Siobhan Webster, I think, but she had a few last names, which is a red flag, right? So I knew her as Siobhan Greenan, but sometimes I think I did know her as Siobhan Webster. I don't know. I mean, this was back in like the party days of my life. I've probably met her when I was like 18, 19. And let's see. So, I'm a recovering addict, but alcohol was my main DOC of choice. And Siobhan's really wasn't, but not that she used substances, but alcohol wasn't her main one. So when we would get together and hang out, we were usually just hanging out for the beginning part of a night, and then she would go her way and I'd continue to drink and, do hang out with people that drank, and she would go do, not that one is particularly better than the other. You can mess up on both. You can have unmanageability and addiction with both. But I'm just saying that to say, like, I'm thinking that this crime that happened, to me, it reads more like a really bad trip than it does like drinking. So, but we'll get there. But still, I mean, we were friends. She never did anything, totally crazy to me. You would hear things like, oh, she did this or that, but I'm sure people heard things about me like, oh, she went crazy over here. No, Siobhan's really wasn't going crazy. She would do other things, but she already had one daughter when I met her, and then she did have one more. While we were friends, she had one more son. It's a little older than my teenage daughter now. And the guy that she had him with, it was weird because the guy that she had him with was a piece of crap, first of all. Dustin. She had him with Dustin, and Dustin, meanwhile, was having kids, like literally had my dad's girlfriend's niece pregnant at the same time. He had 2 kids with her while he had a kid with Siobhan. So he's, scuzzball. But so that was always awkward because my dad was with that woman for a long time. I do miss her. I think he pretty much ruined her life, but my dad was scuzz too. But they did eventually break up. But it was awkward because, I would be talking to my dad's girlfriend and she's like, these kids, and then I'm like, oh shoot, I know the girl that he also, it was awkward. Anyways, so she had that baby and was kind of on her own with it. Her childcare situation was always weird, as was a lot of ours back then, but she would always seem to always have her kids at a sitter. I don't know how that's affordable, but okay, so then she got with a young guy, like by that time we were like mid-20s, and I think she got with like an under 21-year-old, like a 19-year-old or something weird. Maybe he was 20. He was younger. And they were together for a while, but he sold substances, which makes sense, but they didn't have any kids together, and then he got popped, so he got in trouble. So they had to get married. So that she did not have to testify against him. And actually my daughter was supposed to be in the wedding. It was just going to be held at like a little venue inside of a bar or whatever. But there was an ice storm that day, so we did go, but it wasn't like anything fancy or anything. So we were there for their wedding. And I think he ended up going to jail, so then she was on her own again. And then her life turned around, as far as I knew. We both moved out of the area. I was in Chicagoland. She was in Indiana. She had met a guy that was in school for like something medical. And they seemed to be doing well. She got pregnant another time, so then she had another new baby. And the baby had a disease that was, they label it as like ragdoll disease, so like very fragile kind of. So it was special needs baby. And then her older son, like my son, had type 1 diabetes, so she had two kind of like special medical needs children, which can be very stressful. But she seemed to be doing okay, and she seemed to be in love, and I don't know, they seemed to be alright. Then, actually one time she messaged me. First of all, she messaged me one time, and like we chatted but lightly, but she messaged me seriously one time. Was like, hey, I know that I was like a mess back then, and you were always a good friend, and I just wanted to reach out and be like, sorry that I was a total mess back then, and thank you for being a good friend nonetheless, and like, you never did me dirty, you never like tell her shit about me or anything. And I'm like, yeah, like I was a mess too, it's cool. And then another time, she had found a long lost brother that was in Chicagoland too, that she wanted to meet. So she messaged me and was like, I'm going out to meet my brother that I found via however she found him, and he's out by you. Like, we have to get together when I do that. So we did. We went out to lunch. She looked great. And she seemed clear-eyed and good, and we had a good lunch. She went back home, and then like within the next year, everything seemed fine for a while, and then within the next year, she was just traveling. She was traveling a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then she posted that she got a job in California where she had been traveling to. And I'm like, wow, that's cool, good for her. And she said that she was going, I don't think she said it. Later I found out. But she had said, like, she posted, I'm moving to California for this job. I'll be training for several months, and then I'll be permanent or something like that. And I'm like, wow, good for her. few months after that, I believe it was a few months, I got a phone call from her fiance or boyfriend, whatever. And that's when this whole thing was like, what happened? And he's told me, he's like, do you know anything about what she's been up to, blah, blah, blah. Because she really did not have friends. She really didn't. And he knew that she talked to me. So I was like, I only know what she's posted. Like, I'm not nosy at all. So I only know what she's posted. Sorry, I have no idea. She's like, well, she just got arrested and, you know, I have all the kids and it's for murder. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, are the kids okay? And I don't know how I can help you because I really don't know anything. And he like lingered on the conversation because he really did not know what to do. He didn't know anybody that she was messing with, talking to. Like, I was it, and I hadn't seen the girl in a year. A few months, you know, and it was just for a lunch. So, I didn't have any answers for him. I was like, you can call me if you need to. I was like, I'll look up the case. And he's like, I know she didn't do this. I know she didn't do this. And that seems to be the general reaction that he had. And then one of her other friends, she has one other friend that I know of that is super cool. She lives in Chicagoland too. And she's like, she didn't do this. She didn't do this. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not saying one way or the other, to be honest. And I'm allowed to feel that way. Like, people do strange things. People wake up from doing a drug binge and have done horrible things before. So, Mondo. Sorry, my dog is starting to chew his own paw off. And for the safety of his paw, I have to be a little aggressive. Okay. So this is the article. And this is the last. I could not find new ones. So I don't know if she's been through trial, if it's being drawn out. This is all I know right now. And this is from 2019. So something had to have, I know it was like super delayed because of the like the virus and everything. So it was butt up against all that. So I think there should be some answers now, but they weren't readily available. Anyways, this is the gist of it. This is again from the Los Angeles Times, titled, "He listed his luxury Marina Del Rey home for sale. Then police say he was murdered." Okay, this is by Hannah Fry, Richard Winton. Two roommates and ex-stepdaughter of a 72-year-old man whose burnt body was discovered in a dry lake bed in Joshua Tree earlier this month have been charged with murder in connection to this man's death, authorities said Tuesday. Authorities allege that John Schaefer, Schiefer, 38, and Siobhan Webster, 40, bludgeoned William Webb to death using a hammer inside a man's upscale Marina Del Rey home on August 15th. Webb's burned body was found the next day in a dry lake bed near Sunway Road and Rosehedge Avenue in an unincorporated area near Joshua Tree National Park, prosecutors said. Webb's former stepdaughter, 44-year-old Haena, Haena, Kayla, Kealea, Kayla Worthing, is also charged in his death. However, it is unclear what role she alleged to have played in the slaying. Okay, moving on. Schaefer and Webster were renting a room in Webb's home. These names are so confusing. Webb's home on the 100th block of Lighthouse Mall, said LAPD Lieutenant John Radke. Worthing previously had lived there and had left property inside the house, according to court records. Radke said that the investigators suspect the trio carried out the slaying because Webb had taken steps to sell the house. A 3-story luxury home just steps from the harbor in Marina Del Rey. The property is listed at $2.6 million, according to public records. We suspected that the body was our missing person, and it was verified from prints as we started work the missing, everything fell apart. For the suspects, Redke said. We served 2 separate warrants at the location and found evidence of foul play. Investigators served a search warrant on the home Tuesday morning, but it is not clear what they found inside. Control over the 5-bedroom coastal property has been a point of debate and resulted in leg battles that played out in court over the past 7 years. It began when William Webb filed for divorce Worthing's mother, Deborah Webb, in 2012. After roughly 15 years of marriage, almost immediately, the couple went to war over the property, according to court records. If you hear some white noise in the background, it's when somebody runs water in the house. So sorry, it'll stop in a second. It only sounds like that the first few minutes. I don't know. Okay. In 2013, Deborah Webb filed papers in court seeking an emergency order to force her estranged husband to move out of the home. The request was denied. A year later, after their divorce had been finalized, a judge gave William Webb control of the property and ordered that he put up the house for sale within 30 days. In June of 2015, Worthing sought a temporary restraining order against William Webb in Los Angeles County Superior Court based allegations of domestic violence. However, she failed to pursue it, so a judge dismissed it. Last February, okay, so this is just all about the property. Last February, she filed another petition for a restraining order, alleging that he screamed at her in front of her 8-year-old daughter and threatened to throw her out of the house. She alleged that he also used a gate to strike her, according to filing. She asked the court to give her possession of the Marina Del Rey property and force Webb to move out, but a judge denied the request. Why? In June, Webb sought his own restraining order against his former stepdaughter. He alleged that Worthing frequently visited the home, sometimes in the middle of the night, to threaten him and steal paperwork related to the sale of the property. So this is a total family mess. How do these other two come into play? But she has some misguided idea that she can get me out of my house, and then her mother, Deborah, who has cancer, can then get control of the house, said Hannah. And Hannah has stated that she will inherit the house. So is she telling people, I have this house I'm about to inherit? I don't know. Is she involved in some substance way with some of these other shady? I don't know. He wrote in the filing that Worthing had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and has a terrible temper. She also sends me threatening texts, such as one yesterday which said, "You sleep tight tonight. You sleep tight tonight, William," he wrote. The petition was later denied by a judge. Worthing had a criminal record in Los Angeles that dates back to 2000, when she pleaded no contest to willfully violating a restraining order. She was sentenced to 3 years of probation, court records show. In 2014, she was charged with petty theft and was sentenced to 220 days of community service after pleading no contest. Schaefer and Webster were arrested last week, and Worthing was taken into custody today. All three are being held on $2 million bail. If convicted, Schaefer and Webster face a maximum 26 to life in state prison. Worthing faces 25 to life if she's found guilty. So they face 26 to life, and she faced 25 to life. Now, what I remember from when we were looking up the case at the time was the grisly details, and I'm going to pause and see if I can find that. I cannot find the article that I had read a long time ago, which described in detail what happened, but here is a little San Bernardino County Sentinel. This is from August 30th, and the part that kind of describes it is in here. According to the Los Angeles County District's Attorney Office, Worthing, Schaefer, and Webster participated together in a bludgeoning in bludgeoning Webb to death using a hammer. His body was then driven 153 miles eastward, where it was set afire. Now, in my memory, the article that I read had said that something, it had to have come out later in the trial or something, because the one person was saying that, you know, the man was supposed to do it and he couldn't do it right, and that Siobhan was like, what the heck's wrong with you? What the heck's wrong with you? Like, do it. And then he wasn't doing it right, so she went and grabbed the tool, I think they say a hammer, and did it herself. So that's like extra. What? That's extra. Just, not that this is crazy on its own, but that was just some extra. What? I don't know what to think. Like, how would you feel if this was somebody you know? Preliminary hearing resumes for 3. This one's still from, the newest thing I can find is from 2021, and that's just about the preliminary hearing, so it has to have moved along. But I don't know. I will have to keep looking to see what the convictions were, what amount of time they got. And it just, yeah, there's nothing I can see about their final sentences. You want to believe that somebody that you used to hang out with would never do something like this. That's what you want to believe. I hope not, but the man is deceased, and seemingly she was living there. I mean, she was definitely living there. Is it, is it the drugs? Like, is it the drugs, and then you thought you had this like place to stay that was like glamorous and glitzy? Also, though, you were out there with this dude, so I think you were cheating. I think you were cheating. So what was your plan about your kids? Were you gonna, like, her fiance, her man at the time was like, no, she was out there doing training, and then we were all gonna move out there. I really think that she just sold him some BS. I don't know if she ever was gonna get her kids back. I think she wanted to live in this house with this man, and maybe she thought she was gonna get her kids there. I don't know. If you're still there, this was a heavy one. I thought about doing it for a long time, but I don't know. I have mixed emotions and feelings, as I think anybody would and should. It's I don't know. If you're still there, I hope you have a good rest of your day, rest of your evening, or a good night's sleep. And I will see y'all very soon.